Hello, everyone. This is Ryan Higgins from the Comic Conspiracy Podcast, and it may be the 4th of July, a wonderful holiday, but we're still here recording a podcast for you. So hopefully this goes up pretty soon, and you guys are having a good Wednesday if you're listening to this on your commute or whatever you're doing. Before we start here, we do have to thank our good friends over at patreon.com/Comic Conspiracy. For as little as $1 a month, you can help support this podcast. We have a couple high-tier backers we want to thank. It's the beginning of the month. So let's thank our good friends Julie and Titus at the Nerds Without Pants podcast at pixelbit.com. Ryan Hess has a new podcast called Blowhards. I incorrectly called it Cartridge Blowers last week, which is just as good as a name, I should say, in case you want to change it again, Ryan Hess. But no, Blowhards is the name of the podcast at blowhards.libsyn.com. It's a video game podcast. Make sure you check that out, especially if you're a Geekbox fan. Jody Lawson has Canon the Triads Comics Anthology at triadcomicsstudios.com. Check out their books there, as well as Manoa Place, Sam Chea, Talon Bray, Craig Anderson, and Joe Duff. Thank you guys all very, very much. Again, patreon.com/Comic Conspiracy for as little as $1 a month. And I've been told we have quite a bit. We have some new Patreon exclusive content that's going to be coming up. I know we have a episode of Toby and Charlie's Roundup that I'm late in posting, so that's going to go up soon. But we have more content coming exclusive at our Patreon page, so make sure you check that out. Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode 315 for the week of July 4th, 2017, 4th of July. My name is Ryan Higgins, recording from Comics Conspiracy live for one of the final times, only a couple episodes left, recorded at our original location in Sunnyvale. Remember, guys, we're moving the store, so if you're going to come visit me like later this year, don't come to where I've been telling you to show up for the past 6 years or whenever, however long we've been doing this dumb thing. We're going to have a new address. And we'll talk much more about this as we get to our final episode here at the store. Who's here with me this week?
A very tired Brock.
And Charlie.
So, everyone knows that we give Brock a lot of shit on this podcast. And everyone knows Brock deserves to get a lot of shit on this podcast. But
no.
I do have to say, from time to time, Brock really does something truly amazing and deserves momentarily our respect. If you're a comic book fan, more than likely you've received an email from your comic book store saying, yeah, we may have comics on Thursday this week. Many comic stores, their books are horribly delayed, especially if they use UPS. One local store said they might get them Thursday afternoon.
Ugh.
Oh, my God. Diamond Comics, our publisher, our distributor, is holding on to that Wednesday release day, so if miraculously you got your comics prior, they could be released on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So in order to prevent us from getting the books sometime Wednesday, maybe Thursday, who knows, Brock took one for the team, drove to the glorious Kettleman City, California, which has, of course,
3 hours away.
Anyone in Northern California, of course, knows this, because Kettleman City is the stop you stop at when you're driving to Disneyland, because it's exactly halfway. It has an In-N-Out burger and a gigantic FedEx hub. Mm-hmm. Like there's the In-N-Out burger. I mean, I guess you can go to McDonald's or Taco Bell if you're a heathen, but there's the In-N-Out burger. There's the place you take your dogs to go pee at Bravo Farms. Yeah. And then there's the gigantic FedEx hub there. And that's what's in Kettleman City. So Brock at 2 o'clock in the morning drove down to Kettleman City. It's at 3 hours and change depending on traffic. Although I think you got there a little under 3, right?
Yeah, I got there under 3. I got down there under 3.
It was 2 in the morning. There's no traffic.
It was 2 in the morning. There was no traffic. It's just you're driving at night and windy roads through Pacheco Pass. And
so when did you find out you needed to be getting up at 2 in the morning?
Yesterday afternoon.
7:45.
Officially. 7:45 p.m. He found out he was getting up at 2 o'clock a.m.
I knew the potential to get up at that time, probably around 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
Yeah, so we finished up here. Brock's like, goodbye, I'm going to bed.
Yeah. No, I'm picking my kids, putting them to bed, and then going to bed.
So, yeah, drove straight down there, straight back, 6-hour round trip, a couple cups of coffee, and we're recording.
No coffee.
Well, you got them when you got here.
I had
at least.
2 apples.
Oh,
I like hot chocolate.
Apple. It's like nature's coffee.
Exactly.
Now we're here recording a podcast, and then Brock's going to go home and go to bed.
No, I got to go home and deal with my kids because it's 4th of July. And
So you're going to go home and go to bed. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Here, watch the TV. There'll be fireworks
So
on there.
thank you, Brock. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
for not only thank you for me because I love money, but thank you for all the customers out there who are going to get their comics on Wednesday.
Well, for us and for
Elusive.
Elusive,
Yep,
because
yep.
we share a pallet.
Yep.
So
Yep. That's the problem with having a big truck. You have to drive 6 hours and pick up stuff.
yeah, that truck that you told me not to get in the first place.
See, here's the thing. I could have fit all that in my car. It would have been full,
tight. Yeah, it would have been
but
full.
I probably could have fit all that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have wanted to drive up Pacheco Pass with a car loaded with 1,000 pounds, but I could have done it. But much easier.
No, my truck was easy. I pulled in, they took the forklift, put it on, dropped it, shoved it back a little. I closed the tailgate. I put a webbing over it so the plastic stuff wouldn't fly out, and I took off.
Well, you've been doing a good job here all day, and you haven't died yet. So
I know. That's later.
Let's record this podcast and go home. It's 4th of July.
I still have to record a pull list.
It's 4 p.m. on 4th of July. I'm ready for... we're not doing anything. I'm just sitting around the house.
You're ready to go see the haze of smoke from the fireworks from your house?
No, we stopped going up there. It's pointless. You can't see anything. And
Well, unless it's really clear.
even if it's clear, you just see a little...
Yeah, it's true.
Like, fireworks are pointless when you're like 10 miles away from them or 25 miles away from them. Like, you can't see them. Like, it's stupid. Anyway.
If it wasn't for the trees at my house, I could see them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For, like, Great America?
For Central Park.
I live really
Santa
close
Clara.
to the big park in Santa Clara where they do fireworks. And you can see them between, like, the trees and that kind of stuff in my house. But we have some really tall trees on, like, my block.
Yeah.
If they weren't there, I could see the fireworks very, very nicely.
That's cool.
My ex-father-in-law, where he lives close to the Central Park in Santa Clara, and you can see them, but there's like a tree
one
right
big
there,
tree.
and so you kind of have to tilt, but you can fairly see the thing from his house. So,
well, we're nerds, so minor 4th of July plans for us, at least. I'll probably go home and play Doom and some Overwatch or something. So, oh, man, I've been back on Overwatch. Oh, God, what's wrong with me? Anyway.
what is up with the loot boxes? Are they just better now? Did they drop better?
I don't know. I'm getting good shit because I haven't played in like a year. So I'm getting all sorts of good stuff. Anyway, this isn't the Geek Box. Let's talk about comic books here. Before we talk about comic books, though, we have to pimp something here. Now, if you're a fan of Bryce, and who is?
They're in the minority.
Yeah.
Well, he did help get the most downloaded episode ever. So.
Okay, I'm going to call fucking shenanigans on this because those numbers keep going up. So I think he's just downloading them constantly. Like that episode is now significantly higher than every other episode we have. So
It's Toby.
Maybe this
Bryce.
is something really racist on it, and I just didn't get to that part. And there's a huge controversy about this podcast.
There's an underground Reddit
that we're like
conspiracy.
completely unaware of. It's very possible. Like, I don't know why it's getting so crazy. I don't know. Like, maybe you went viral somewhere. I have no clue. Like, listen to these crazy people talk for 2 hours. But yeah, congratulations. But no. If you like Bryce, he says lots of weird stuff. And if you follow us on Twitter, we will often retweet an account called Bryce Larson Quotes because someone, and it's honestly, it's not us. None of us know who it is. If it's someone that we do know from Twitter or the Facebook group or something, no one's copying to it. So I have no idea who these people. I have no idea who's running this account. Like dead serious. I have no idea.
It's Julian Titus, right?
I mean, I have no idea. I have no clue. They contacted me a few days ago and said, "Hey, you guys mentioned something. I want to do something." So he made, or I assume it's a he, they made a Bryce Is Right t-shirt. The front says Bryce Is Right in the Price Is Right logo and everything.
It's pretty amazing that way.
And then on the back has some incredibly choice Bryce Larson quotes to confuse and befuddle your friends and family.
Anybody walking behind you.
Let me rephrase that. He has quotes from the eldest son of Bryce Larson's father. Okay. Some amazing quote says, "This may be spectacular, but in any case, it will be spectacular." We can both agree that you're wrong. I've done a lot of white boy illegal things. Another classic.
That was a classic.
Yeah. Improbabilistically, which is a new word. Joke failed. It will not be my first or last of the night. I'm not going to read all the quotes here. And, of course, a recent favorite is, can I get a master's degree in being a humongous pianist? So if you go to teespring.com and search for Bryce Larson, I'm assuming you just pull it up this way because it's kind of, no, that doesn't quite work.
You'll have a link on the description on the Geek Box for this episode. Right.
Bryce Larson. I will have a link. Correct. Yes. If you just do a Google search for Bryce Larson Teespring, TEESPRING. It's the very first thing. Oh, it's teespring.com/Bryce_is_right. That should get you there. Yeah, so there's some great quotes on here. So the great thing about this, it's $19.99. It ships July 21st, so you have 16 days to order it. And assuming we get enough orders for it, which I think we will, this gets made. The owner of the Bryce Larson Quotes Twitter account has said that he is going to donate all the proceeds from this, because Teespring takes the majority of the money and you get some kickbacks.
You get
$5
you get
t-shirt or whatever. Yeah. To Comics Conspiracy for the move, for the store move, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Bryce was like, hey, why don't I get any of this money? And I was like, I'll buy you a beer. And he goes, okay, that works too. So if you want,
all you need is a 6-pack of beer. He's like a small child.
If you want to get Bryce drunk and help the store move with our relocation, you can now get this wonderful T-shirt that these guys have made, which this is awesome. Like, I love the fact that this happened. We've been talking about, let me phrase that, Brock has been talking about us having T-shirts for years and years and years, and I never do it. And someone did this in like 5 minutes, so congratulations. You're much more productive than I am. But yeah, go check out this Teespring. It's fucking awesome. Like, that's great. So
I want to be clear. None of us at this table are going to actually order one of these.
Oh, Leanne already ordered it.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, she wants the Higgins is Wrong T-shirt, too, that someone wants to make. So, yeah.
Whoever makes it, if it's donated to the move, it should be done.
Yeah.
What would the font style of that be, though?
Oh, I don't know.
Higgins is wrong. You just do it in BVS lettering?
Maybe. Yeah, so that's awesome. You should go get that, because that's super cool.
Bryce quotes, if you know how many have sold, can you at least let us know so we can know like how popular this is going? Yeah.
I don't know. I'll send him a message. People are talking. Yeah, I just don't know how many. I don't know how many have sold so far. So, but I'm sure we sold quite a few of them already. So that's super cool. And we'll definitely try to do more shirts.
This is going to start a trend.
Hopefully, yeah. I do want to do more shirts, because I definitely want to do shirts for the new store too. So, let's talk about some comic book stuff here. And by talk about comic book stuff, I mean talk around comic book stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about, but I can talk around it. I could talk in Twin Peaks animated GIFs.
God.
Marvel had a retailer conference call on Friday to talk about Generations and Legacy.
No, was it Friday or Thursday?
Yes. Thursday. I'm sorry. Correct. Thursday. This past Thursday. And some of this did get... let me rephrase this. Bleeding Cool reported on a number of things that may or may not have been discussed during the press conference, or the conference call. And I won't confirm or deny any of the stuff because I'm not supposed to. So
you're confirming that Bleeding Cool talked about some
Bleeding
stuff
Cool talks to a lot of retailers.
Happened.
It's very, I feel like their initial post about what the conference call was supposed to be about was pretty incorrect. A lot of stuff was discussed. Very little specifics were discussed. But
sounds like Marvel.
Yeah. They talked about Generations. They talked about Legacy, elements of them, and there was a couple questions in the Twitter replies for this thread of without talking about stuff I can't talk about, kind of overall feelings. Not as confident as I was when all this started, but more confident than I think I was a week or two ago. We kind of had a high when it started.
Well, yeah, I mean,
there was a lot of
when Marvel was first reaching out to retailers and having dialogue and conversation with them, especially it started right after the blunder of let's remove the digital codes.
Yeah, so October of 2016 is when Marvel just took a fucking shit. Mm-hmm. Like, the sales were suffering. October is when they claimed their sales just flatline. Mm-hmm. They're not even flatline. I guess flatline means dead. They didn't plateau. Sorry, Marvel sales just bottomed out. Like they took a dive. So from October to February was when
it was
they took
October
up the
to
codes?
February. It was this weird back and like there was
the holidays and nobody was talking,
and their sales were all over the place. They were trying to pump. They were pumping. What the hell were they pumping?
Isn't that also around when they were blaming
IVX and
DC for a moment?
That's what they started doing that blame. Yeah, they were doing the blame thing for a couple things. Oh, it's DC. Oh, it's diversity. Oh, it's
February is when they took out the digital codes, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think
and it was gone February, March, and April.
And then back in May.
Is that right, or was it just gone March and April? I think it was February, March, and April. That sounds right.
Yeah.
So May was around the time, end of April, beginning of May was when I think we first started hearing back from Marvel, and so now we're July, and what they had to say about Generations. If you were interested before, you're probably still interested, but Generations seems like it's going to be fun stories, but I don't think it's going to be a game changer.
Like significant?
It's hard to say because they're not telling us anything, right? When DC's done a number of retailer Facebook Q&As and live streams on the retailer page from their offices, and Scott Snyder was like, I'm just going to tell you everything about Batman Metal. And it was like, oh, okay, wow, you're talking a lot about this stuff. Which is good because it's before our orders are due. So we're like, sounds awesome, right?
Tom King released gave retailers PDFs of Miracle Man #1.
Mr. Miracle. We got Well, Tom King didn't. DC
did. But, it's
fucking incredible.
It's like being able to read that and being able to be like, you need to get down to your stores and pre-order this. Or let your stores know that you're interested in this so they actually increase their orders.
Yeah. Even if a PDF somehow leaked of Mr. Miracle #1, it's not going to cause sales to go down. It's only going to go up, right?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is,
as long as it's good.
The thing is,
it's fucking.
I'm like, I read it. They plastered that thing with like everything. I'm like, I can't wait for the regular issue.
Yeah, the art's a little rough to read because of how many watermarks are on it. But
they did a lot of watermarks, and I think they kind of distorted the images a little bit.
No, that's just Mitch Gertis. He's
it's his style, but I think it looks like it's messed up a little bit overall. But
I think it's just the watermarks. But. So with Marvel, again, there is some stuff that sounds really cool. There is some stuff that's a big fucking like, what? My overall tone I got from this, though, is...
something about a hot dog?
I felt like Marvel kind of came to retailers earlier this year and was like, hey... we fucked up. What can we do? And now they're like, we're Marvel. Here's what you should buy. And it's like, oh, guys, I don't know that they've learned anything. And I'm really concerned because I think Legacy sounds really good. We've all seen the covers for the upcoming comics. I don't know if you've seen Bleeding Cool and a few other places reporting that numerous Marvel creators had no idea those covers were coming. They don't even, we're looking back at like New 52, basically. A bunch of the Legacy guys don't even know if they're on these titles or not. There's potentially multiple creators pitching for one series, which is something that happened during New 52 that got DC a ton of blowback and really pissed people off. What I understand is in the lead up to San Diego and at Comic-Con, we're going to hear basically all the creative teams. That seems reasonable to me. Because they have to have the order forms are out the week of. I think they're out the week of San Diego. Mm-hmm. I think do we get previews the week of San Diego or the week after? Maybe it's the week after.
No, it's the week. It's the week of San Diego because San Diego is the weekend before.
No, I don't think we. Oh well,
it's the weekend of our move, which is the 20.
It's the weekend before.
Yeah, the weekend before the move.
Yeah, I think we get previews so we'll get that Wednesday. I think 26th is previews.
But that's the last Wednesday of the month.
Yeah, they do that.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was the third Wednesday. They normally do.
It goes back and forth. Because of San Diego, I think it's going to come out the week after San Diego. I'll have to double check. Okay. But either way, the online solicitations should come out that previous Tuesday for Marvel, which would be the Tuesday prior to San Diego. Now, if Marvel wants to, they don't have to put those out. They can hold them until San Diego and put them out the following Tuesday. But generally, they're out the Tuesday prior, including the previews. The actual previews, I believe, comes out on the previewstheworld.com the Wednesday prior to physical release. So I don't think they can get away with holding off any of the reveals till Comic-Con. I get the feeling in the next couple of weeks we're going to see all the reveals, which means if there's people they don't have signed, they got to figure these people out very fast.
It's 52 books. You got to make sure it's creative team.
And they have 53. And they have to...
What's the 53rd?
There's another one they haven't announced yet.
Oh.
And they have to... have print copies of previews ready, which they've got to go to press on that like this week or next week. So they really have to make sure this shit's done very soon in order. If they're having the trouble they're having, as reported, who knows if it's true? But
how often? So I used to pay a little more attention to this, but how often do the creative teams that they report in previews get changed by release? Because that seemed to be happening a lot for a while.
Well, you get fill-in artists. What they have to do is, if something is solicited and there is a change, they have to note it. I believe you have to be told prior to FOC.
Yeah.
If it's after FOC, I believe the item should be considered fully returnable, although Marvel doesn't always do that. And DC doesn't actually either. They should, and they're supposed to, but sometimes they don't. But I believe, so the stuff that we're getting the final week of September, the first week of September, we should have final creative teams. So they could solicit something.
And then change.
And it could come out end of July, but that book's not shipping till September.
Which means we're not doing FSC till August.
They can ship it. They can change it, end of August. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not until the final order cutoff, FOC, that is when I believe the creative team has to be firm. But yeah, I'm excited for Legacy. I'm curious about the first 6 months or so of post-Legacy. I'm curious to see what they're going to do. I am definitely now 100% going to stand by what I said online. I don't remember if I said this on the podcast or not. But all current subscribers at our store will get Legacy #1 for free.
Does that include our mail order, guys?
It includes mail order, too. Yep.
You're welcome, guys.
Anyone that comes into the shop and buys it, it'll be $2.99 on the shelf.
Despite the price tag being $5.99.
Right, we're going to have a sign up for $2.99. I believe this will not apply to variant covers.
No.
The incentive discounts on variant covers tend to not be the same as what the incentive on the base cover is. So any open order variant cover, I believe, will still be $5.99. But the main cover, like Rebirth, the main cover will be $2.99. And again, free to all subscribers. And we'll have sign-up sheets for people that want to sign up for the new stuff. I don't expect to get a whole lot of new people signing up for, Spider-Gwen, but, maybe I'll get another subscriber or two.
Well, is Spider-Gwen going to #1, or is they going to renumber it at what her legacy number is?
No, everything is Legacy. Well, everything is Legacy except for the ones that aren't Legacy. There is no #1s coming out because of this. They're all going to either continue their current numbering.
Okay.
Like in the case of Champions, it is not going to Legacy numbering.
It's like Champions like 18 or 19?
No, it'll be like 9 or 10 or something. They're just going to, or 12 or 13. They're just going to continue whatever their current numbering is. But some books will go to a lot of the classic titles will go to Legacy numbering.
Okay.
So they've already released all that stuff and story arc titles. So yeah, pardon me. Again, excited. We're going to find out more, I believe, in the next couple weeks. So I would say just hold off for that. Really hold off for those creative teams. I'm very curious to see who's going to be on these titles.
You know, it'd be really cool is to actually get like an advanced PDF of Legacy so we could read it.
I would love it. I've asked. It was the very first thing I asked in the Marvel forum. I got a thumbs up from one of the Marvel guys. I got a like, but no confirmation. So we'll see. We shall see. And this isn't like I won't spoil it. It's like no, I want to make sure it's good.
The thing is I mean, we didn't get any advanced copies of Rebirth.
No. But DC wasn't, even then, that was only a year ago, but DC wasn't doing a lot of advanced copies. It's really only been the last few months that DC has totally turned around on these advanced copies.
But I think the advanced copies are really good for titles that are like Mr. Miracle. Like this is a character that's not really good known. Yes, it's Tom King. It's a big known writer, and it's a good known artist. And that team up did Omega Men. But again, we as the retailer, it's great for us to know what's going on in these books. So that way we know how to sell these books to people.
I don't need the last page spoiled, but I would like the ability to read some of it and have a conversation with the creators and say, pitch us on this book because we now have to regurgitate what you tell us to everyone else. Again, most people don't realize this. The amount of people online that buy comic books, not the people that talk about them, but the amount of people online that actually buy them is very small. Mm-hmm. The amount of my regular customers in this tech-savvy-ass Silicon Valley, the amount of our customers that regularly read solicitations and news about upcoming comics is 10% maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Most customers just come in and buy what's on the shelf. They don't read up on this stuff.
Oh, I don't necessarily get a chance to do anything unless you retweet it or you tell me specifically in store.
Yeah,
it's not because I'm not interested. The time it takes to do some of that stuff, I just don't. Charlie does it all the time because he can multitask like there's no tomorrow at work.
Well, Charlie, you're not sitting there with an RSS reader open reading every comic article that comes out.
No. I try to check certain sites like once a day. A little bit more than that if I get bored. But, I mean, for the most part, most of the really big news explodes multiple times. Yeah. So it becomes kind of hard to miss if you check any of those things.
As someone that does sit on Twitter and RSS all day, let me tell you, it's a full-time job. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, being there when news drops takes dedication.
I had seen on Twitter that Tom King was thanking everybody that Batman 24 was going to a third, fourth, and fifth print. And when I went when I was working over at Elusive on Thursday, I was talking to the guy who does ordering there, and he goes, "What? They're doing a third, fourth, and fifth print?" He didn't know, right? Because it was dropped on Twitter and it hadn't popped up on Diamond's site yet for ordering. So, yeah, I mean,
pay attention. There's been a couple people whenever the Facebook group stuff pops up, and people are like, "It's great that you've announced this here, but it's going to take a day and a half to get into the normal Diamond cycle of news, and why don't you send it a press release?" They're like, "Well, this is just the fastest way for us to do it." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm not like, don't complain about being on the bleeding edge, on the cutting edge. Like, you're the guy that's going to know this stuff. I bought a shitload of the third Prince of Batman, and it sold out immediately. I'm like, well, no, because I pay attention, and I'm there. Mm-hmm. It's your fucking job. It's your job to pay attention and know this stuff. Mm-hmm. It's not like, if you're a fan, you can do it as much or as little as you want. But if this is your job, yeah, I get this stuff because I'm there when it goes up. Like, you have to pay attention to this stuff. It can sell out so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, see if you can get me a fourth print.
Yeah. Should
or a fifth.
So we were going to talk about Batman Metal. They did release their full checklist. I don't think we talked about this.
No, we haven't talked about Metal yet.
But we did want to talk about Dark Days. The 4 just came out a few weeks ago. I figured this is a good way to cover both. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't been reading this, this is DC's newest, or actually let me rephrase that. This is DC's first major Rebirth crossover. And it's not even that major. I mean, there's a lot of titles, but it's little on the crossover, but big on the event end.
It's just one issue, right?
Well, yeah.
It's like a one shot, isn't it?
Well, I will get to that.
That's what, yeah.
So Dark Days is the prelude to Dark Days is the prelude to Dark Nights. Mm-hmm. Dark Days is a couple one-shots coming up by Scott Snyder and various artists. Scott Snyder, James Tynion IV, and various artists. And Dark Nights is I kept calling it Batman Metal. It's Dark Nights Metal. I have to call it the right thing. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo teaming back up again for a 6-issue miniseries. The crossovers are going to be one issue apiece and a couple titles that make sense. There are no more than 2 books coming out a week featuring this event. So minimal if you want to ignore it. And if you want it, there's something every week for you, right?
And it's not that much.
It's not that much. It's only 2 books. It's 1 or 2 books.
Yeah.
So there's Dark Days to Forge, which came out, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. There's Dark Days to Casting, which comes out next week. Then Batman Metal comes out the 16th of August.
My birthday.
Yeah, very good.
So, Jim Lee, I want a signed cover of your variant cover for that, please.
From there, we have a number of one-shots, and we have a couple crossovers. It's crossing over one issue in the Teen Titans, Nightwing, Suicide Squad, Green Arrow, and The Flash, and an issue of Justice League. Yeah. Oh, and Hal Jordan, too. I missed that one. But these are like 2 in September, 2 in October, 2 in November. Like, it's not, again, it's not like...
These are their specific...
It's one issue.
It's one issue. My guess is they've coordinated so that a story arc ended...
Oh, yeah,
get this one issue, and then so for those that are reading Green Arrow and like, I don't care about Dark Days.
Yeah, Metal. No, they already have the Justice League issue 33 that comes out November 15th on here, and they're on what 23 now. Like, I mean, they're telling you way far ahead. This will be at the end of a story arc or whatever. Yeah, so just be the one issue. So Dark Knight Metal is 6 issues. There's going to be a number of one shots to go along with it. The pitch here is that Batman has discovered the dark multiverse, and we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. And there's what sounds like all these evil ? I probably Batman coming over from this dark multiverse, whether they're invading. Again, the actual story of Metal is just getting started, so we don't know the specific plot. He's talked about it, but
what does Metal stand for the nth metal?
Is
that what it's supposed to
all
tie
sorts
in with?
Of metal. There's all sorts of fictional metal in the DC universe.
Okay.
Nth metal being one of the more famous, but Dionysium, he mentions it in Forge as well. It's something from his run of Batman with Snyder.
Okay.
Sorry, with Capullo. So every one of these Batmen are going to get their own one shot. They're going to be the kind of foil embossed cover. So DC's going a little too crazy with the crazy covers. They're going to have all foil covers for these Dark Knight books. They're going to have lenticular covers again for the Superman Oz Effect, which we're going to have up for pre-sale pretty soon. They're cool, but just be careful. Please be careful, DC. Too much shiny takes away from the specialness of this.
I think it being for the Dark Days stuff, the Forge, the Casting, and the Metal series, I think the shiny covers works. For the tie-in issues, I don't necessarily think those need to have it. And your one-shots, I mean...
So if you're trying to make them easily recognizable, I don't really see a problem with doing it for the one-shots and stuff. But I kind of agree with Ryan that if you're going to do it, you have to
do it sparingly, like not
make sure you're doing it for this event. Don't be like, now what can we put it on next? You need to keep it quote unquote special.
Yeah. So there's a number of these Batman one shots that are coming out, and they have the full creative teams are already online. It's kind of a who's who from DC. Really good creators on all these. There's Batman the Red Death, which is a Flash like Batman. There is Batman the Murder Machine, which is a cyborg like Batman. There's Batman Dawnbreaker, which is a Green Lantern Batman. Batman the Drowned, Aquaman. You should probably guess that. Batman the Merciless, which is a Wonder Woman-themed Batman. Batman the Devastator. I actually have no idea who this is supposed to be. Is this Apocalypse? I don't know what this symbol is. I mean, Brock, Charlie, you want to jump over here? This is the one that I didn't know what this was. That's not Apocalypse, is it? I don't know what that symbol is. I'm sure the internet's yelling at me right now because you all know what it is, and I just was too lazy to look.
It looks like kind of a combination of...
Looks like partly the Apocalypse.
Yeah, I mean, and this, if you look at these other logos here, they're kind of like part, right? So I think it's supposed to be like an Apocalypse like Batman.
That's the Apocalypse one.
I
don't know about the top part of it because typically the Apocalypse is just the bottom part.
Yeah.
The top part's supposed to be like New Genesis or something like that.
Now the one that's thrown off here is called the Batman Who Laughs. Now the it's easy to assume this is about the Joker, but I want to pray, and I don't think.
But it's missing the top part. That's what's.
Yeah, terrible radio. I don't know if they've actually said who the creative team on the Batman on Batman the Batman Who Laughs is. Who
is it? Brubaker? Because if it was Brubaker, I would be like,
so that was
shit.
my hope. That was my hope, and I was like, oh my god, please let it be Brubaker back, because that's exactly who I wanted it to be. So the Batman Devastator and Batman the Man Who Laughs, there are no creative teams listed. Red Death is by Joshua Williamson and Carmine Di Giandomenico, who's the current artist on. This is the current creative team on Flash. Mm-hmm. So like Dawnbreaker is Sam Humphries and Ethan Van Sciver, which is the creative team on Green Lanterns. Drowned is Dan Abnett and Philip Tan. Dan Abnett's writing Aquaman. Merciless, which is the Wonder Woman one, is Peter Tomasi and Francis Manipool. So awesome creative teams.
Yeah.
If Brubaker got...
And when I saw that, so Ed Brubaker wrote Batman: The Man Who Laughs. It was a very good Joker story.
I haven't actually read it.
Oh, it's great.
But because it's still out of print, right?
It's a trade. I don't know. There's a trade.
They released one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I was really hoping that Brubaker was involved in that one, which would be incredible. But we don't know. So there's those. There's the one shots. Now there's two other one shots coming out post that, which they've actually not talked about at all. DC's like, oh, we don't know what you're talking about, despite them being on the checklist they provided.
It's Doomsday Clock stuff.
No. It's part of Metal. The two coming out are called Batman Lost and Hawkman Found, #1. So, because Hawkman's died, the new 52 Hawkman died in that miniseries. It was funny because I was like, Hawkman Found. Dan Didi replied in the Facebook group. He's like, oh, how'd that get on there? And that's the last. So Hawkman Found #1 comes out. What's going to be the shipping week? Probably the last shipping week of of December. There is one shipping week. There's potentially a shipping week after that, but I don't think we have the December ship dates yet. So it's coming out December 20th.
Well, they always do I think they always do that weird
sometimes
off week.
They do a skip week.
Yeah.
So it's possible that Hawkman Found #1 coming out the last week of the year could be a humongous book. Like.
Do we have creative team for it?
No, and the potential for Hawkman Found being bringing back the Justice Society is small but possible, because Hawkman's obviously been a huge part of the JSA. One? Well, Batman Lost, we don't know. We don't know. Batman gets lost in the dark multiverse, right? If you haven't picked up Dark Days to Forge, we're going to talk about it briefly here. Got to pick it up. It's so good.
A lot of shops sold out of it, though.
A lot of shops didn't order enough. I ordered a shitload.
So if you need one...
We got plenty. So the Forge, Batman, surprise, surprise, Batman was hiding something from everyone on Earth.
Wait, Batman hides shit?
It happens occasionally.
Wait, I'm reminiscing back to Batman Hush.
Oh, we are gonna spoil this too. So if you want to fast forward 5 minutes or so, if you don't want to get spoiled,
I have to reread this, but
whatever he is hiding, which you find out part of it by the end of the issue, the Guardians of the Universe themselves were so worried about it they sent Hal Jordan to come look for it. Hal teams up with Duke, the new, not Robin.
It's from the All-Star Batman backup stuff.
And kind of through this all, you get some of the stuff that's spinning out of Dark Knight Metal, which is going to be the stuff like the Immortal Men in the new Damage comic. You get a tease of a little bit of that. You get a tease of the Immortal Men. Hawkman gets a few stories thrown here. Now there's two characters, a team, and a really important thing in the DC universe that all get returned to comics via this issue. One of them is Mr. Terrific, in a glorious throwaway line where Batman's like, "Oh, good, you're back from Earth 2. Okay, cool. You can stop pretending to be from there. You're just our regular Mr. Terrific." Like, it's an amazing line where they just completely retcon everything about Mr. Terrific from the New 52, because that was all dumb. So Mr. Terrific is helping Batman. Of course, they need some real help, so they go and they let go of someone that Batman had captured a while ago. And
when did he capture him?
Again, off-panel, is Plastic Man. So after years, even pre-New 52, I don't even think he had been in much in the last couple of years prior to the start of New 52.
Didn't he pop up in some special during 52?
No.
No, not that I recall. I mean, Well, he's appeared in the fringes of stuff like Scooby-Doo Team Up and that kind of stuff, but nothing.
Yeah, and there was a Plastic Man 2-parter during Convergence, but
but that was not
that's no, it's called Plastic Man. So Plastic Man's back, which is awesome. And Brock, I know you're happy.
Oh, well, I was exceedingly happy except for the artist, but I'm exceedingly happy.
They talk about another team Batman had worked with in the past.
Wait a second. Batman has a Black Ops team?
Yeah. The Outsiders are
Outsiders,
back.
baby.
OG Outsiders. With Geoforce and...
Metamorpho, Black Lightning, Halo, Katana.
Halo, that's her name.
Yeah. I like Halo. I like what they did with Halo's new costume, where it's all the rainbow colors instead of just the shoulder and then the rest is black.
Yeah, so OG Outsiders are back. But, and I guess... Is this the first appearance of Mr. Miracle in, a regular New 52 or Rebirth title? Oh, no, he was in Green Lantern, wasn't he? He was in the New God stuff.
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to think what...
He hasn't been anything since Rebirth.
Yeah, has he not been in any Rebirth book?
Not that I recall.
Yeah.
But, we haven't seen a lot with the
New God stuff. Since Rebirth. So Mr. Miracle's in it briefly, too. But we...
I'm trying to think, do we see him? I don't remember. He pops in all the time. I want to say yes, but... Oh, wasn't he in the Rebirth special? Briefly?
I don't remember. I don't think so. Anyway.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. We're getting a ton of Mr. Miracle this year. We find out what Batman was hiding. He made a deal with Superman to allow him to hide something in the Fortress of Solitude and said, Superman, can you promise to never look? And Superman says yes. So they're like, cool, let's go get this now because something's happening with it. Batman somehow, I don't know how, without Superman's help, I don't know how he did this, but Batman ended up getting the Anti-Monitor's tower from Crisis on Infinite Earths and Infinite Crisis. This is his device that was going to shatter the multiverse. I'm like, how the fuck did you move this into the Fortress of Solitude? And how did Superman not be like, what is this immense power emanating from within? Batman, seemingly through the dialogue here, it sounds like he's discovered the Dark Multiverse, which is the pitch for Batman, Dark Knight Metal, which we're going to find out more about soon.
Well, I didn't get the impression that he's found it yet, but he's on the trail of finding it.
He's tracking it, right? He's tracking it. And it's coming from the tower. And of course, there's another person that Batman's been hiding away that knows everything about everything because he always does. And oh look, what a surprise! He's not dead. The Joker. Not that anyone thought the Joker was dead, but it's the Joker. He always comes back.
Well, I mean, I think this is a tease.
This is the Joker from Snyder's Batman run.
But I think this is a tease for the three Joker stuff. It's not talking about it.
Snyder said online that he has nothing to do with that. That's all Jeff Johns' story, and he's going to deal with it down the road at some point. This is Snyder's Batman. Scott Snyder's Batman's Joker. This is the one from his arc, from Endgame and everything.
Last we saw had kind of gone through a transformation similar to Bruce Wayne, and when Batman reemerged, it kind of seemed like Joker would reemerge, but we haven't seen him.
Yeah, Batman's held him captive within the Batcave for X amount of time. So, great first issue. Set up a ton of mysteries. Really excited for the second part. And, definitely excited for Metal. I want to see where they go with this. I love doppelgangers and bad versions of good guys.
Not that I necessarily need to know this. I'm just wondering if they've done any explanation on where does this fit between the current Batman stuff. Is this supposed to be prior to it, after it? None of the above?
I don't know. All-Star Batman is ending with issue 14, and it's becoming a different format comic. We don't know what that means, whether it's a series of graphic novels, whether it's a series of prestige format, web series. Nobody knows. Snyder's not talking.
I was actually mainly curious about the current King stuff because that's also dealing with the Joker. If it's just going to be...
Well, the Joker stuff in King's Run is flashback. Oh, and if you're under at 25, holy shit. Batman 25 was so good.
You mean the one we didn't get variants for?
No, that was 24.
Oh.
Yeah, 25 was so good.
Yeah.
The first part of the war riddles and jokes and riddles. Mm-hmm. But no,
that's supposed to be a flashback.
It is. It's flashback. Okay. It takes all place. It's post zero year. Yeah.
But isn't it also picking up what they were doing with Batman and Catwoman in that issue?
He's telling the story to her.
Okay.
He's like, if you're going to marry me, I have to tell you something.
Yeah. Okay.
And we don't know what happened, but we're just starting to find out.
Okay.
Dude, he does his Batman and his Riddler, who's good. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'm a little behind. I need to get caught up.
Oh, Batman 25.
26 is out this week.
26 is out this week. First book I read.
Which 26 is out this week, and if you're at your local shop and they actually somehow miraculously got their books and you actually have a variant cover of it, be grateful.
Us and the other store, we do a split shipment with. We were both shorted our copies of Batman 26 variant cover, the Josh Middleton cover with
Poison Ivy. It's the one you tweeted like a month ago.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, I want.
Yeah, we got shorted all our fucking copies. And both stores, both us and the other store, we don't get our stuff packed together. 2 separate accounts. We just get them shipped together. 2 separate accounts. We had the exact same problem. We got, hey, instead of that, a shitload of copies of Guardians of the Galaxy, the new issue, which Marvel had overshipped all the previous issues, and now we just got another 40 copies I can't do anything with. So, wonderful. Anyway, Batman Dark Days.
I was just going to say, we might need you to grab us copies.
Oh, well, that too, but no, we'll get them. Them. I've already got a call out to DC.
Okay, good.
It's really good. Dark Days is good, especially if you like Snyder's run on Batman. This is this to All-Star to
now. Would you say jumping on at the Forge is okay?
Sure. Yeah, you can. Okay,
yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, if you haven't read any of Snyder's stuff, I think you can read this and you'd be okay.
I just wanted to see what your take was on it because, people will be like, "Who's Plastic Man? Who's?"
Well, but so
more people know Plastic Man than know probably Snyder's run. Nothing against Snyder. It's just if you've not checked out any DC books in the last 5 or 6 years, you could read this almost with no trouble.
Yeah. I guess the only thing I would kind of say is this is part 1 of a mystery. Like it doesn't
right.
It doesn't drop you right into the story yet. It's more of a sort of slow build. So I'm curious to see like where's that tipping point issue where it goes from mystery to the actual story.
Yeah. Well, the two one-shots are one-shots. So I think we're going to get the big stuff later. We got a bunch of questions. Let's set up some of these. Cisco says, with Bleeding Cool's rumor of a mature line of superhero books from DC, how many imprints and books... How many imprints can DC publish without crapping the bed? They're getting up there.
Yeah.
I heard of this. I don't know why they would do a mature line of superhero books when you have Young Animal. That's what Young Animal is. So I don't know why they would do another line.
I think it's more along the lines of like Dark Knights or Max, where it's more... Marvel Knights or Max, where it's probably a little bit more...
But they have that. It's called Young Animal.
But Young Animal doesn't necessarily... It doesn't push the envelope in that direction. It pushes the envelope in.
It does. Yeah. But it absolutely does.
No, but the thing is you got Shade the Changing Girl. You have Kid Carson.
The stuff in...
It's quirky. Young Animal is more quirky than it is dark.
Okay, Marvel Knights is just regular Marvel comics. Marvel Knights was never anything. They were good books, but they were never anything special. Max was Max, but Max only had like Punisher and like 1 or 2 other titles.
Yeah.
There's more published under Young Animal to date than all the Max stuff, short of what the Punisher was. This was a year or 2 ago, or 2 years ago, or whatever. I heard this rumor that they were going to redo Vertigo, and it ended up being this Young Animal thing. So if they redid Vertigo and took a handful of other characters and brought them back to Vertigo, like I have no problem with that. That's what they should do. Another line, it's a bit much.
Yeah, I don't think they should do another line.
I feel like. If they, it depends on what they have to say, because they're all doing well enough for themselves. So if they have room in their publishing schedule, I hate to lose some Rebirth titles over this, but you have Rebirth, you have Dark Knights, you have You have the Metal stuff, right? You have those books, which are all in the regular DC universe. You have all the miniseries, which are all either in DC or the TV crossover stuff, which are completely their own thing.
Yeah.
You have Young Animal, which is in the DC universe. And you have Vertigo. You have Wildstorm. You have the Hanna-Barbera stuff. That's a lot of titles. Yeah. A lot of titles.
That's a lot of lines.
They'd have to get rid of something to add something, I think, at this point. A straight up another line, short of replacing Vertigo just completely. I don't see how they get away with it.
I don't see them doing like a full-on another line.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fit with everything they've been doing over the last few years.
Yeah. Cisco says, with Marvel's creatives rumored to be upset after not being settled about Legacy, how many writers do you think DC can successfully poach? I will say this. Chip Zdarsky is writing a backup in the Harley Quinn 25th anniversary book that's coming out.
Oh, yes?
I did not think I'd see that. So that kind of surprised me a bit. I'm sure Marvel is going to make real good offers to a lot of their creators to stick around. I would hope they would offer a bunch of creators to come back and for new creators to come in and hopefully show a few creators the door. But I don't know that there's a ton of talent right now that DC would snatch up from Marvel. Ta-Nehisi Coates, maybe. They could get him on a specialty project. I'm sure Mark Waid, and they wouldn't ask Mark Waid because Mark Waid hates him. But Jason Aaron.
Did they get Soul back?
Soul is Lemire's gone fully at this point, right? He's completely gone.
He's gone. There's Bunn.
He's already doing work for DC. He did a couple issues of Trinity. Colin Bunn's already done some work for DC, some fill-in stuff.
They're not going to ask Bendis.
No, they won't ask Bendis. They won't ask Dan Slott. Mike Allred is already doing work over at DC, so I think he'll be there for at least a while on Bug. Who do they get past that? I mean, I don't think there's a big name
Pack
to get. He's
doing all the like Hulk and
Pack man, but
stuff.
He did work at DC. He never sold books at DC.
There's not really a single creator right now that I kind of feel like either you have a lot of good creators that are straddling the two companies.
You know what I'd like to see them grab? I'd like to see them grab Nick Spencer over to Harley Quinn.
They would have some trouble with that.
No, I just want them to give Paul Dini the book in this.
Yeah. Well, this is a good question. Samurai Godzilla on Twitter asks, how much longer will Jason Aaron stay at Marvel? Seems like between him, Bendis, and Mark Waid, they're the A-list writers. And yeah, they are. And even Mark Waid, I like Mark Waid, but his Avengers book is nothing. Yeah. And I've not enjoyed it. And the last few things Waid's done hasn't...
Champions is...
I completely forgot he was writing that. I'm sorry. For the most part, the stuff he's done has not... It's not Daredevil was the last thing that, even though it didn't sell amazing, it was at least very well received.
Yeah. I kind of feel like Wade's become the easy person Marvel goes to when they kind of want to launch something like Champions. And unfortunately, while I think Waid is a tremendously talented writer, I kind of like him going to them to pitch books rather than them going to him and say, we need you to write this.
Well, do you feel like Champions or Avengers are his book right now?
No, I kind of feel like they went to him and said, you need to write an Avengers book with this being the team.
Right.
You need to write a Champions book with this being the team.
But I think Daredevil was him and Samney with a pitch.
Yeah.
And if I can see the difference.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I want Wade going to them to pitch books, not them going to Wade to assign books.
Yep, I agree. Stefano asked about Metal, which we already discussed, but he did want to ask, how's everyone feeling about Rebirth up to now, speaking of reboots? Any titles you'd like to see replaced? Any wishes for upcoming titles? And I think we've made it pretty clear across the board for the last year, the titles that we love, the titles that we don't care about,
it's like, what
we want.
The ones at the bottom are Blue Beetle, Cyborg, Hellblazer.
New Superman. I think Birds of Prey is pretty low right now.
Yeah, Birds of Prey is pretty low. Batgirl's dropped significantly from where it was when Simone was writing it.
Yeah.
Even at the tail end after where you had the Burnside.
Well, you had the bump. You had the bump at the start of the Burnside, but then it just tanked. Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, I think that cycling out those 5-6 books.
Well, I think a few of them should go. I think a few of them need new creative teams. I'm up for a Hellblazer book to stick around forever. I don't want to see that book go. I think Cyborg can go. I think Blue Beetle can go. Yeah. New Superman, it was a good try. What are they at? 12, 13 issues now or something like that. I mean, maybe go 18 and call it a day. Yeah. Superwoman can go. Birds of Prey.
Supergirl can go too.
Birds of Prey needs a new creative team. Batgirl, whatever. Just I don't care. Batgirl can be Batgirl.
Supergirl needs a new creative team.
Supergirl is the other one that needs a new creative team.
I wouldn't get rid of it. I would just get a different team.
What about Batman Beyond?
It has.
Sorry,
a spot.
Charlie. I know it's a soft spot for you.
So here's what I would do with Batman Beyond.
My problem with the current Batman Beyond book is I really liked when they first brought Batman Beyond into the sort of DC line, because it was directly kind of building on certain aspects of the show, and that bringing in certain elements, like starting it with Hush Beyond was really intelligent, and they were able to sort of build and move that timeline along. When they switched everything around and kind of went, it's not Terry, it's Tim, but from this alternate future.
Was it Future's End stuff?
Yeah. It lost me, and where it's sort of sitting now with that stuff happened, but we're trying to make it more like Batman Beyond and less like that. But it's not doing anything particularly well.
Here's what I think they need to do for Batman Beyond: take the Rebirth title off.
Yeah,
I think that would just solve the problem of it not being part of Rebirth.
Yeah, it can go down. It can go down there with the randos. I mean, if it goes 12 issues, it goes 12 issues.
No, it's perfectly. It sells better than all the books we just mentioned, but I feel like it's so out of place with everything else. The other book that needs a new creative team, and actually this is going to bring me to a conversation. Sorry, Justice League America, but you're like the 7th Justice League book not called Justice League in the last 8 years or 6 years that just can't find its spot. And that goes to Steve Orlando. I like Steve Orlando, but Justice League America and Supergirl are just not.
They're not
that
hitting
great.
It. Well, and I think Deathstroke too is. I mean, people who like Priest.
Sales on Deathstroke aren't great. I think he has a very unique voice, and it's a very unique title. I feel like it has its place.
Deathstroke is the perfect example of a book that I like reading every once in a while when it crosses over with something else. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a great book for crossovers, but I have a hard time reading it issue to issue when he's not crossing over with something else.
Priest did not write the crossover issue.
I know.
If his name is on it, he didn't write it.
I'm just saying in general, Deathstroke for me is a character that works exceedingly well, who can cross over with Batman here and Titans here and this here and that there, just because of the nature of his character. He can pop up anywhere at any time.
Right.
And typically when it's just focused on him, I lose interest. But when it's a book with him crossing over into other stuff, I tend to be very interested. He's just that type of character.
I mean, the book has been this fascinating breakdown of the relationship between him, his sons, Rose, the whole Judas contract about
Judas contract.
No, Lazarus contract.
Oh,
about him trying to go back to save his son. It's been a great story, but Priest's writing is so unique that it can be a little difficult to follow, especially on Deathstroke. I think you took Black Panther and Quantum and Woody are very accessible Christopher Priest. This is a heavier Priest title from the last 20 years or so.
If it's dealing with family, just give it to Tomasi.
But it's not a family Tomasi would deal with. It's a different family. Jesus asks, how is it that Bryce Larson has so much energy? I work 2 jobs and I need to know his secret. Let me tell you something. Nobody knows. No, it exhausts me just watching him. He'll be on the him and Leanne have talked on the phone, right? My wife, they've talked on the phone, and she'll be like, I can't even talk to him for more than a few minutes because I'm just exhausted listening to him talk. And I'm like, yeah, it exhausts me too. I love Bryce, but man, that dude needs to
you know what I think?
10 less shots a day.
I think what we need to do is we need to have a Bryce expose episode where we have Bryce on, but we have him. He has to just listen, and it's an expose where we bring his wife in and have her talk about things with him, because I think she would give us some of the insight that I think people would crave.
What's so funny about Kelly? She's so nice and so quiet, and just so mellow.
Yeah,
I don't know how the hell she puts up with Bryce. I'd murder him.
I just assume Bryce kind of has certain things that cause him to channel lots and lots of energy. So I'm kind of hoping it's not all things that cause him to channel that level of energy.
Robert asks, how's the staff feeling about U.S. Avengers? I was recommended and bought number 1. It was a lot better than I was led on to believe. So,
can I skip this question?
You sure can.
Thank God.
How do I word this? The internet loves Al Ewing, the writer of U.S. Avengers. And I've never seen... I have never seen a disconnect between the internet and sales in my life. It makes sense on some titles. It makes sense that parts of the internet love Wasp and the book doesn't sell for shit. But Al Ewing does kind of normal Marvel books, right? That I expect.
He was doing Uncanny Avengers. He was doing.
He wasn't doing Uncanny.
I thought he was doing Uncanny.
Was he?
Yeah.
He was doing Ultimates. He was doing this. I don't think.
I thought he was doing. Who was doing Uncanny then?
Remender, and then I don't remember who else was doing. What else he was doing? I'm trying to see if I got a list here of his books.
No, because I thought he was doing. Ewing, Uncanny Avengers.
Oh, is he doing the current one?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. That tells well. Maybe that's why I haven't been reading it.
No, Zub is on. Oh no, it's Dugan.
Yeah, it's Jerry Dugan. Yeah. It was. Yeah, no, it wasn't Al Ewing. Anyway, he's the 2000 AD guy. He's a Brit. You would think he'd be my favorite writer, and I'm sure when he goes to DC and picks up Authority, he will become my favorite writer.
You'll have a huge boner for him.
But holy shit. I just cannot get into a single thing he's done at Marvel, with the exception of the first arc of Ultimates. The first arc of the first volume of Ultimates, like the current first volume of Ultimates.
Was it the all new, or was the all new, all different? Or was that the Marvel Now one?
I don't remember.
I know, you hated that joke.
I think it started good, and then it just... Bleh.
Yeah.
But... God, people love this guy. I mean, I've tried every book he's written. I've tried the first issue of every book, and except for the first few Ultimates issues, I was like, nope. I just don't like his writing at all.
I couldn't. Wait, was he doing that series that it was? What was before U.S. Avengers?
He was doing Mighty Avengers.
Yeah. But what was the other title that had like all the crystalline bad guys, and was that Dugan? I don't
remember. He did Ultimates. He did Royals. He did U.S. Avengers. He did Rocket.
I didn't do U.S. Avengers at all. I probably should have given it a try, but I didn't.
You don't need to.
You really don't. I mean, I'm happy that Robert enjoyed it. I'm happy Robert enjoyed it, but
it was not. It's his writing is
everything I hate about Marvel right now. It's everything I hate about Marvel.
Well, I think kind of Charlie said it. It seems like these writers are just writing what Marvel tells them to write versus them telling the stories about these characters.
It's a fucking ninth tier garbage Avengers spin-off. It's the worst fucking characters Marvel has. It's all the worst replacement characters. It's everything I hate about Marvel right now is U.S. Avengers and a ship of 60 number one variant covers because it had all the state covers and Canada and the UK for some reason. Yeah. Remember that? It's literally everything I hate about Avengers is that comic. So, or Marvel, I mean. Christopher says, who was your favorite character until recently when they were ruined? Mine was She-Hulk. I don't like her PTSD arc and miss her Deadpool-ish antics. Well, I definitely don't miss that. But yeah, I like She-Hulk. Does Speedball count? I mean, it was ruined 15 years ago.
Penance, yeah, that counts.
Yeah, fuck, Speedball was ruined years before that. Who was ruined real recently? God. I mean, it has to be the Inhumans. They fucking massacred the Inhumans in the last 5 years.
Yeah, they take except for Karnak.
It's got to be the Inhumans. That has to be the answer.
Like Medusa, I used to like Medusa because she was kind of this royal queen, like firm, like cool superpower. Now she just seems like a bitch.
So the idea of Black Bolt running a bar is just like, what? Get out of here.
Inhumans is definitely the right answer. If you want to go with something else, I kind of feel that way about the Guardians right now.
Oh yeah,
like I was really into the Guardians, and then just recently, there's nothing in the
Abbott
Guardians.
Lanning nailed the Guardians, and then this just
even like the Bendis Guardian stuff, I was okay with.
It had
like it still
had moments.
It was okay.
Yeah, it still kind of felt like the Guardians to me. It wasn't as good as the older stuff, but at least it still felt like the Guardians to me. The Guardians stuff they have now is,
again, it's just the worst. Let's rip off the movies as bad as possible and not bring anything original.
But they're not even ripping off in a good way.
No,
like, it's shit.
Right, that's what I mean. We're gonna rip off and it's not good. Yeah.
And the thing is like I actually don't mind the PTSD story arc in She-Hulk.
I read the first couple. It was all right, but I didn't keep up on it.
I've kept reading it, and I think it's good. I like how I like how the book dives into other things. It's not just about her character dealing with mental illness. There are other characters in it that are dealing with mental illness.
So I like the story overall that I've read. I'm like an issue or two behind on it. Mm-hmm. That being said, though, if what he liked from She-Hulk was the slot run, I totally get why he would have no enjoyment for his current run.
I haven't read the slot stuff. I want to. I just haven't had a chance.
Yeah, the Dan Slott stuff was She-Hulk was great.
They collected all of that, right?
Yeah. On the DC side, I mean, my answer is Batgirl. Batgirl has not been Batgirl for me in
since the Gail Simone,
3 years. Yeah,
Burnside ruined it,
and I'm just so worried that we're not going to get this character back anytime soon. It's just there are moments where writers have used her well.
Yes, never
in her own book, rarely in the Birds of Prey of the current stuff. Mm-hmm. She popped up in like an issue of Nightwing that I thought was pretty good, and like I see glimmers of the real Batgirl. But they've got to ditch this Batgirl.
A character that they fucked up royally and then actually fixed, Lobo.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Like proof positive you can bring it back.
Lobo is kind of the shining.
They just it was some
under the rug and never talk about it.
Under the rug joke thing. I can't remember.
It was in Hal Jordan.
Yeah,
it was Brainiac. Brainiac being controlled by Lar Fleas captured that Lobo and was just like, brr.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I guess what I'm curious about is
like, how did the original come back?
Yeah,
they just don't. They don't. Yeah. It just happened. They don't say.
Yeah,
he was rebirthed.
Yeah,
I'm happy to see him back. I'm happy to I love the Lobo Roadrunner issue. That was amazing.
I haven't gotten to read it. I so much.
I finally sat down and read all those crossover books, and I loved them all.
Oh, good. Jesus, you talking about the Looney Tunes one?
Yeah,
that's good because that was the next question.
Every single one was really good.
I read the Martian Manhunter one, which I really enjoyed. I read the Bugs Bunny Legion one, which was okay. Because it's weird.
That's the only one that kind of broke the formula the rest of the books were using.
I thought the Bugs Bunny Legion one was amazing.
It was amazing.
Hilarious.
But the backup story, just retelling the first...
The backup story was... I stopped reading it 2 pages in. It was stupid. Yeah. I don't know what...
It was like, this is the Looney Tunes version of the same story.
But it wasn't. Yeah. The backup story in Bugs Legion was awful. I don't get that. I mean,
it's the same story.
Right. But the main... That was the one that broke the formula that the rest of them followed.
Yeah.
Right. It made no sense.
I loved the backup stories and the rest of them.
Yeah.
I haven't read the Yosemite Sam, the Lobo, the Elmer Fudd, and what was the other one?
Yeah, I've only read Superboy. I'm sorry, I've only read Legion and
Batman?
No. I just go in order. It's like literally like 2 books from my stack.
So Martian Manhunter.
And Martian Manhunter, yeah. I like the Martian Manhunter backup story. That was really funny too. Yeah. But he says, Jesus says, I just read the Batman Elmer Fudd. It was great. There's a Wonder Woman Conan crosser coming soon.
Wonder Woman Tarzan or Tasmanian Devil. That was the other one.
Yeah. He says, why doesn't Marvel do these crossovers? They used to. But Marvel now, like, they don't do shit. DC crosses over with everyone recently. Yep. It's something like Looney Tunes. That's Warner Brothers. They own. That's their own thing.
And I mean, they built a Scooby-Doo team-up book just for having fun of throwing characters together at this point.
But you have like Star Trek and Legion. You have Doctor Who. No, the Doctor Who of Star Trek.
You have Planet of the Apes and Green Lantern.
You have Planet of the Green Lantern.
You have Star Trek, Green Lantern.
You have Justice League and Power Rangers.
Justice League, Power Rangers.
Yeah, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Batman.
The multiple versions of that too, which is really cool. You have Batman, the Wonder Woman Conan coming out soon. Yeah, no, DC's gone hog wild with these crossovers, and they're fun. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Some are better than others, and some don't do that well, but overall, they're really fun books. And yeah, I mean, DC's like, fuck, we'll do this with anyone that wants to do it.
And the thing is like,
works great.
reading these stories, you can see that the creators are having fun with these characters,
and it's great creative teams on these books. They're not like, I'm used to crossover books having shit creative teams, honestly, and the fact that we kind of have this renaissance for crossing over recently, where like it's big name people being put on these books.
Yeah. I like it. I got a question here on our Patreon.
And the Batman Shadows being good, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's been real good.
Yeah.
I got a question here on Patreon from Rich, but...
Johnson?
No, but it's about crossovers, and there's a lot of Marvel talk here. So, Bryce, I'm going to save this for when you're on next. So, Rich, I did get your question. We're just going to ask it next time. Dan asks, after Image, who is the most respected indie comic company? Has Aftershock moved into 4th place? Any chance they could overtake Image? Sales-wise, it's usually Dark Horse or IDW.
Yeah.
But I don't...
Dark Horse has a franchise that they've been established. IDW has a couple of franchises, licenses and stuff.
Yeah, it's not Dynamite, that's for sure. Aftershock has really good buzz. Oni has a really good staff of people working for them.
I tried to stick with a lot of the Aftershock stuff, but I just haven't been able to.
I mean, Aftershock is, I think, as close as we have to another Image right now.
Okay.
There's no licenses.
I kind of feel like it's as close as we have to a starting Image.
Right. But is it respected? I don't know. Yeah. They sell decently. We sell a handful of copies. I know, like, Baby Teeth just came out. We blew through those. I talked to other stores that sold dozens and dozens of copies of those. So they definitely have some good books. But nothing kind of lasts. Nothing really catches on long term.
I like their animosity.
They don't have a Saga or a Walking Dead or a Velvet or or a Remender or a BKV, and they have good creators. But it's lots of short runs, lots of miniseries. Nothing's clicking long term, which is kind of what sets Image apart. What sets Image apart from everyone else.
Yeah, because they have like Saga, Invincible, even though it's ending, Walking Dead.
They have, Image has a ton of ongoing.
They have Savage Dragon.
Yeah,
a lot of Image.
But they also have 20 years on these guys. So.
I was going to say, like, a lot of what we're listing, though, image-wise, is grand scale of things not that old. Like, Walking Dead is old now. Same with, but I mean, that's all Kirkman building up a brand at Image.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like Dark Horse has some long-established properties that have been around forever that will continue to be around forever.
What is this big, huge boom with Predator and Aliens that is, like, happening all of a sudden? Because tons of people have been coming up in the shop asking for that stuff.
Well, I think they're pretty decent, so...
Next question.
We got a question from Eric. He says, do you see DC ever going a Marvel Unlimited route? For those who don't know, Marvel has an offer... has a website where for, I think it's $100 a year. It's a monthly if you want, but it's $100 a year. You can read a bunch of their old comics. It's sort of like think Netflix, but for not the current books. It's 6 months and older, and it's not everything. There's lots of holes, but if you just want to read old Marvel comics, you can just get this every year and get access to a ton of stuff. From what we understand, we talked about this a few months back. DC is launching along with Warner Brothers, a DC Comics Netflix-style app, program, something, website, which is going to be comics and all their video content, movies, TV shows, including the Young Justice Season 3 and the Teen Titans show. Or Titans.
Hopefully we get a lot more information about that at Comic-Con.
Yeah. So if this is where it's going to happen, it's going to be there. That's what it's supposed to be part of. That's what was announced. We don't know when. Yeah, again, Comic-Con would be my belief of when they'll talk more about it. Maybe. We'll see. Yeah. Questions. We already got. Okay. Mohammed says, "What is Supergirl being super about? Is it a mini or a regular series? It's a mini series. I haven't read it though. I don't know what it's about.
A whole hell of a lot better than the Supergirl comic.
That's what I've heard.
It's more. It brings. It adds a. I think if you was it being super. It takes elements of the Supergirl show and combines it with a good solid comic book feel to it.
They started that with the Rebirth Supergirl title.
And then the Zero. The Zero was really, really well done, and then it just kind of didn't do it. Being Super does it very, very well. So I think that if you like Supergirl the show, or you're somebody's interested in Supergirl, I think Being Supergirl is the better choice to go for checking out Supergirl versus the actual.
It's like an early days Supergirl.
Yeah, it's like I think it's 4 issues.
But I mean, like plot wise,
it's early. She's like some
young,
of the stuff she's going through when she's learning her powers.
Yeah.
And because she's always seemed to have problems with her powers. So this is kind of early days of her dealing with these things and dealing with loss and stuff like that. So, I would recommend Being Super.
Okay.
So
we got a couple from Problematic Cartoon, and then we're going to wrap up here.
Why is he such a problem?
He is a problem. He says, why does every DC Rebirth Dick Grayson flashback have him in that awful costume? Why can't we live in a world of shorts and pixie boots? What costume do they have him in? It just like the long pant Robin costume. I kind of don't recall seeing a.
The only flashback I can think of was in the Judas contract, not Judas, Lazarus contract.
I'm trying to remember what his costume looks like.
Flashback. Other than that,
I don't know. I never remember having a problem with the costumes.
Was he in the disco suit from Teen Titans?
No. So I'm not sure what costume he's wearing in it. Is he
flashing back to
PC, you're going to have to send us a picture of this because I don't remember seeing Dick Grayson and being like, that's a terrible costume. Like, I don't remember seeing that. So I think it's just like the long pants Robin costume, which I'm fine with. I never have a problem with it. And this is a good one to end on. This is also from Problematic Cartoon. He says, since Legacy has pissed everyone off, let's go a little classic here. What are your favorite Avengers rosters and your favorite X-Men rosters? For me, hands down, the Kurt Busiek, George Perez, Marvel, Reborn, creative, roster, which was Thor, Cap, Iron Man, and then
it had a rotating.
Well, you had the three big ones.
Three big ones, yeah.
You had Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
You had Hawkeye.
Yeah.
So you have kind of the for those first newcomers. For me, you had Justice and Firestar, so I'm down with that. That's triathlon in that book. Okay, he's awful. But who else was on that? There was another. I want to say there was one other person that was on Wonder that Man? Initial team. Was Wonder Man?
I thought it was Wonder Man.
He was on it at one point, but it wasn't like when it first launched. It was after a particular story.
Busiek could have done a good job of having that core, and then having the next rung, right? Yeah. And then they had the outer rung, which was kind of the rotating.
Yeah, they were bringing people all the time.
Which I thought worked really well. And in a team book like that, that's what you really need. Because whenever I've read like Justice League stuff, it's always like, oh, we need to go find a new team, and it's like, okay, well, you have your core, but you kind of flounder back and forth at who you want in that next circle, and then you don't really let anybody shine enough in the coming in to introduce. I mean, when Johns was writing Justice League, we had the really solid core of all 7, and he did separate out the Trinity a little bit, but we had the core with that circle. So when other people came in, like what's the little, like the Atom female, the one that was bad, Firestorm was there for like 2 seconds. Like, he brought these characters in, so it had that good feeling. But other times I've read Justice League, that's where they seem to struggle is getting the core.
I don't know. I feel like if you go back far enough, you'll find examples of the Justice League where it didn't have the core. But it's been a long time since they've really shaken up the Justice League. It's kind of had its core going for a very long time now.
Oh, they've played some shenanigans with the Justice League team up and the lineup, and it's been bad at points. But they
before New 52, when they had Vixen and all that.
That Vixen team was awful.
Was horrid.
Yeah. They had the team around.
No, that's Justice Society that had the Green Lantern.
That's just a bad costume. The team was fine. The costume was terrible. Yeah. Post Brad Meltzer on that Justice League run, there was a real bad team.
I must have blinked and missed that one
briefly. I liked, in theory, James Robinson's Justice League team, but he couldn't do anything with those characters. He had Supergirl, Starman, Congarilla. Who else was on that team?
Oh God,
it was a wacky team.
Was Jade on it?
Maybe.
Wasn't she on it?
Yeah, I think so. It was a wacky team, but I'm like, I could see them doing something really cool with this.
Because Obsidian was on it.
Yeah. And it just didn't, nothing came of it.
He had taken characters from the Justice Society and put them in the Justice League at that time. Oh, and it was a lot of the All-Star Squadron people. That was what it was.
It says also your favorite X-Men teams. So I actually looked up the original OG X-Men Blue and Gold creative teams because we always talk about this and mix them up. I'm gonna say Blue and Gold, but you got to give me some all the characters, just not in this configuration. The characters are for X-Men Blue was Gambit, Beast, Cyclops, Rogue, Wolverine, Psylocke, and Jubilee. X-Men Gold was Iceman, Colossus, Archangel, Storm, Jean Grey, and Bishop. Now, I like all those characters. You could ditch Bishop if you wanted. Bishop's dumb. But I like all those characters, but replace the order. Put the original 5 in one group, and then put Wolverine, Psylocke, Rogue,
all those characters that
Gambit,
that bloomed in the 80s.
Kitty Pryde, Colossus, and Storm. Put them in one team. Put the original 5 in the other team. Those are my perfect X-Men teams.
So when it comes to X-Men, and this is kind of silly,
Cable is the leader, right?
When it comes to X-Men, especially with some of the superfluous characters that have sort of been created over time, I always kind of like the fact that because a lot of it's centralized around the school, you didn't need necessarily a 100% set team all the time because all these characters were always interacting. It wasn't like, well, I'm in X-Men Gold now and X-Men Blue's over there. Like, for the most part, you kind of had this sense of almost like Mission Impossible, where you could kind of play with who's going out on this mission versus who's going out on this mission. And that's kind of where I feel like it works best, where you have sort of that larger roster of people who are at the school, but they don't all have to go out on every mission.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, I mean, it's just the Jim Lee stuff, like that team. I mean, it was an intermix at the time of both, but I mean, I think each team had its own, qualities about it, blue or gold. But I think Charlie's right in that it's not necessarily about having a core or these subgroups. It's about the school and who's prevalent at the time, right? I mean, because I wasn't a big fan of it, but Wolverine and the X-Men was started out really, really well.
Yeah, it's Mamba.
So I think that it just depends on what's going on. So which is why reading current X-Men books, I'm like, okay, cool. It feels like this, but we still don't have the school, and I think that that's really the key thing. There is Xavier's Institute is missing, because that's what makes the X-Men the X-Men.
I mean, Gold is close.
It's there, but it's not a focal point.
Yeah,
right now.
But they're not. I mean, they're not at the school. They're in X-Men Gold. They're in New York City.
Yeah, but the school's supposedly there. They have a school there, but they're focusing more on how are we going to pay for this part of the school? Like they're
focusing
dealing
on
more with the politics of having a school there, and not of the fact we have a school here.
Yeah. Gold's been okay. Now that we're a few issues in, Blue
is. Okay, I'm done after the last issue.
The last issue was
that last line. Can you train us to be ninjas? Really?
That may be the worst art on any of these titles I've seen in a while. It
was pretty bad.
Yeah, Blue. I was going to give the kids one more shot, but
they just blew themselves.
I will not read another book with those X kids until they're gone. I can't do it. It's so bad.
Well, what's funny is Jean's been having that Banff kid thing pop around all the time.
I will continue to read the Jean Grey book, because despite what Bryce says, I actually like that book. All right.
No, but in Blue, she's had the Bamps.
But Blue's real bad.
She's had the Bamps, but in that last issue, they disappear. I'm like, I don't know. It's weird.
Who knows?
Weapon X has been really good, though.
Oh, yeah. Weapon X has been great. That's it. Thank you, everyone.
Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July. It's our Patreon episode, of course, so we have to thank all our good friends on Patreon.
Wait, we didn't have to do random picks?
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, another month of random picks. Thank you for reminding me, Brock.
No, that is not a thank you. That is a sarcastic.
You.
I hate your guts for bringing that up.
You've been up since 2 a.m. I'm plenty of
so I'm not going to be able to pick one very well. So you can laugh at me.
I forgot about my random picks. Yes, let's do that. You guys hit the random pick number on Patreon. Maybe I'll have to bump that number up a bit so we don't hit it.
No,
again.
You can't.
I forgot. Random picks. The great thing about random picks is they're random. I can't think about them. So, Brock, why don't you give us your random pick? What's a book you read recently you like? What's a book you read a long time ago you want to read again?
Book I recently read? That I haven't talked about?
I'm going to jump in here because I have something.
Go for it.
I don't have a specific book, but I do have a series of books that I want to recommend that people check out. And as time goes on,
Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants Murder Mysteries?
I don't know what that is. I may go and recommend some of these more specifically, but I do want to recommend a series, and this is a Marvel series of books. This is Marvel's Epic Collections, which have been coming out now for a few years. I get asked a lot about classic comics, how to read them, what story arcs to read, and we've talked about the Epic Collections on here from time to time. But I had a conversation with some retailers online about these things, and I want to give a shout out of just how great I think these collections are. What they do is they take old Marvel books from the 60s, they take more recent stuff from the 90s, they take some stuff from the 80s and a little bit from the 70s, and they've been doing out of order but chronological sets of major Marvel titles. Now, this is akin to something like Marvel Masterworks that they had prior, but
not in straight order.
Well,
because Marvel Masterworks didn't went in straight order for
correct. No, right. What they do with the Epic Collections is they don't go volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're all unnumbered. However, they have a number in the back, on the back of the book, and that is the number it'll go in its eventual order. If you were to put every Captain America book on order,
if you put every Captain America book, or they actually print all of these.
Well, by putting those numbers there, they're kind of signifying that they're going to go deep on these, which is crazy because that's a lot of books. But we'll see how far they get. So if you want to read old comics, you can get Amazing Spider-Man number 1, volume 1, right, which will have his first appearance in the first couple of years worth of titles. They tend to do about a year at a time, although a few of them had multiple years. And then there's like volume 16, which is just like randomly some stuff in the 80s that never had been collected before.
Armor Wars for the Iron Man stuff.
So they've done a lot. Well, what they do is these are collections straight through, including annuals. So you may get a full story arc or crossover, but then you'll get the stuff after it as well.
Yeah.
So the plan here is that you can read these all in order. You can get Captain America volume 1 through 40, and it's going to be every issue of the original 400 and X issues of Captain America. Now let's see if they actually get that far. They're priced right. They tend to be about $35 to $40. Sounds expensive, but they're huge.
Yeah.
It's a ton of content.
It's like 13, 14 books, I think.
More than that on some of them.
Yeah, some of them.
Full color. Again, complete chronological order. If you're feeling like you've been left out of Marvel stuff, go pick up some of these Epic collections because they are going to not only reprint the sick stuff from the 60s that's worth a ton of money that you probably haven't read a lot of, they also reprint a lot of the stuff from the 80s and 90s that you probably haven't read in a long time and you should go read, especially if you're a fan, roughly our age. Because they've started doing like New Mutants, X-Force, X-Factor. So they're not just sticking with the old titles. They're doing more recent stuff. They've done Power Man and Iron Fist. They've done just Iron Fist. They've done what are some of the other good ones? There was one or two more. There's one
Fantastic Four.
They've done a number of FF. But I'm trying to think. There was another kind of quirkier title that they did.
Deadly Hands of...
No, that was the Omnibus. Anyway, I can't remember. They do really good titles. They're all available. None have gone out of print as far as I know. They keep them around. Should go check.
They just did a Carnage one, didn't they?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, that was it.
It's not an Epic collection.
Oh, okay.
No, the Epic collections are nice. I especially like the fact that because they jump around quite a bit, you can just sort of
get whatever.
Exactly. You kind of get into that nostalgia factor when you're kind of flipping through going like, I remember reading this stuff when I was buying FF regularly or X-Men regularly. And I mean, a lot of this stuff, as far as I know, I don't think ever really had trades because at the time they were not really pushing trade paperbacks.
There's a lot of stuff from the 80s and 90s that have never been collected.
Yeah. So it's pretty amazing.
Go, Charlie, because I'm still thinking. My brain's dying.
Charlie, there was a trade you were looking for earlier today. Is that one you want to recommend?
No, what I'm going to recommend right now is the Green Arrow book because I've played catch up on that. I had gotten way behind, but it's still a very solid book, and I still really like the way they kind of work in Black Canary and
Green Arrow.
Yeah, all the Rebirth Green Arrow stuff. Like I was on board, caught up, then I felt like I want to say like 10 issues behind, and I mean in Rebirth time that's not that long.
He doesn't do every issue, but the issues that Otto Schmidt does the art for, amazing. Yeah. Like I love this guy. I want to see him on like a consistent book where he could just do all the artwork for it. Yeah. Green Arrow has been a surprise hit of Rebirth. Same creative team as prior. Sales tripled. So
it's just been a nice, consistent book, and like for the most part, it's a very fun title. Like I like the story arc where they were on the train, and I like a lot of what they have done overall. Like it's definitely building well.
Are you current on it?
Yes.
So you saw they changed Seattle.
I'm not current.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
But no, it's kind of interesting because a lot of what's going on is kind of dark when you think about it.
Oh, it's very dark. Yeah.
But
it's very dark.
The story itself tends to be very fun with the sort of interaction between Black Canary and Oliver, and like everything on the train was just sort of a fun sort of train adventure for me. And then you kind of go, but actually when you think about the story, it's dark. But the book itself, when you're reading it, doesn't feel dark.
Yeah, if you did not like the portrayal of Black Canary during New 52, and you haven't been reading Green Arrow, fix that.
Yeah.
Brock, hit us.
I think I'm going to recommend it because the trade came out last week. But the new Exo Manowar series.
Okay.
I've only read 2 issues because we got shorted our copies. But I think they've done a really good job in those first 2 issues of kind of reinvigorating Exo Manowar and making it like really just solid character. So if you haven't checked out Valiant, I would recommend that's a decent point to start out with.
This is volume 2 of the new stuff, right?
No, it's volume 1. It's volume 2.
You're talking about the original Valiant, like the Valiant stuff from this recent, not the one that just.
No, the trade that just came out last week.
Yeah. That's the second volume.
That's volume 2 of the current stuff. Yeah, you're right.
It is the second series of the current Valiant book. So the first volume of the second run.
It's the one that's blue and gold.
I don't like that they renumbered their. I wish they wouldn't have renumbered their.
Well,
books.
they went 50 issues.
Yeah.
So like they gave.
I just didn't see a need for it.
They gave Vendetti a really solid amount to write on it. So I think because I think it's Kint that's doing it now. I don't remember. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. Yeah. So,
all right,
you're welcome for remembering random picks.
I'll write it on my show notes why I remember to do it.
Won't.
Yeah, I won't. All right, now we're done. Now we can thank all our wonderful Patreon backers. Patreon.com/comicconspiracy. As little as $1 a month, you can give us some money, which helps keep the hosting fees paid and give us some food to eat before the podcast. Gives everyone a little bit of credit to buy some comic books to talk about on the podcast and keep everyone up to date.
So we appreciate it all.
If you appreciate the 8 to 10 hours we throw at you every month, because I feel like every episode's a 2-hour episode for some reason.
We've just gotten longer.
It's very long. Dennis Jansen, thank you very much. Alex McHale, Matthew Schnapp, David Baroldi, Don Kilson, Mark Long, Michael Zakevic, Will Roberts, Ivan Liskanik, Brian Moreski, Mason Barber, Miles Gakula, Rich Guerrera, Matthew Holmes, Paula Schultz, Mark Smith, Blake Etheridge, Keith Amaral, David Polanco, Christopher Noyes, Kevin Nguyen, David Safar, Stephen McLeary, Tyler Wiltis, Travis, Gary Hollins, B. Chris Freeman, Christopher Stone, Sitz Comics, I like that name, Timothy, Aaron Wright, Father Dante, Brian Wilson, Nick Harrison, Chris Palaki, Kevin Ellis, Christina Tatone, Willa Ansari, Mario Miranda, Bob Learned, Gordon McKenzie, J.R. Burrick, Greg Lindsay, Stephen Hayden, Anthony, Edgar Moreno, and Andrew Cuscieri. Thank you guys all very, very much for the money you've kicked us every month. Whether it's 1 month, 10 months,
they're getting
a couple of years, depending on how long we've done this. Yeah. Got your random picks. Hope you guys like it.
Some new content's going to come up for the Patreon.
Yep. We're going to have some new Patreon stuff, so every Patreon backer, regardless of amount, gets access to that. I do have to post that other roundup from Toby. Him and Charlie are going to do some more of those. We owe you guys a Bryce briefly. The last couple times Bryce has been here, he's been running late, and we just haven't. I don't want to start recording this podcast at like 9 o'clock at night. So, especially when Bryce is here, because then we'll go to like 1 in the morning.
We just need to figure out a way for Bryce just to record himself and hand you something then just walk away.
He can just do it on his train when he's just randomly.
Just get a recording app on your iPhone and then just sit there and talk to yourself on the train.
Yeah.
Of course, if he did it on the train, I'd totally want a camera of just like all the people watching him.
Ow! So the Iceman book is terrible. Ow! Let me see. Oh, that's garbage. But this. Oh, you seriously need to be reading this. That's my Bryce impression. Here we go. Comic Conspiracy Podcast, Geekbox.net and iTunes. That's where you can find this podcast. Thank you guys. Thank you for all the reviews as well. Rate and review us. It always helps.
You need to look those up because we haven't.
I check them occasionally.
We haven't gotten any new reviews of you, or you haven't told us any of the new ones on the podcast.
The Comic Conspiracy at geekbox.net is where you can contact us and send us a long foreign question, as well as Patreon. We have a few of those to read next week. Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. You can buy your digital comics from us there. Conspiratorbrock.com. That's Brock's blog and video pull list. Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension. That's Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. You just covered the finale already?
Yeah, we recorded it on Monday, so it'll be released on Thursday.
There you go. Doctor Who finale. Christmas special coming. Etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill Art, my wife. That's her Etsy store. You can go and buy stuff from her there. Ryan Higgins Ryan. I'm on Twitter. That's me. Ryan Higgins Ryan. That's my name. Brock is Brock Sager. Bryce Larson is Larson Bryce. That's his Twitter handle. Toby is TobyXI. Charlie's Insanity and Chaos. The store is Comics Con Store. And if you like us,
follow at Bryce Larson Quotes.
Oh yeah,
and go to Teespring.
No, it's not at Bryce Larson Quotes. It's Bryce Brief Quotes. Bryce Brief Quote, I believe, is the actual name of it.
I don't know. Just
look up Bryce Larson Quotes. You'll find it. Geekbox Comedy Button.
Don't forget the Teespring.
Brain All Talk Podcast. Manga Machinations. Teespring.com/Bryce Is Right. Bryce _is_right. I believe that's what it is. Thank you guys very much. I hope you have a good 4th. We'll see you next week.